What's good, Slow Gang? It's me, Sloth Internet Dude. So, you want to play Wind Guy in MK11? Well hey, if you like using spacing to effectively punish your opponent and hopefully piss them off, difficult but rewarding combos that make you feel like Ultra Instinct Goku but without the gimmick of doing it automatically, and even more chip damage than the bottom of a Pringles can, you've come to the right place. I'm going to be covering the Cloudwalker competitive variation in this video as it's the best of the three for a variety of reasons. I have to admit, not having the wind kicks is the big sad and loses you some cool points, but Warped Needle is an essential part of why Cloudwalker is so good. If we could have both, Fujin would be perfect. But you can't have everything unless you play Liu Kang. Downburst does have some plus sides, mainly a bit higher damage output and the aforementioned but it lacks the versatility of Cloudwalker. If you like zoning, the Cyclone variation is an excellent fit for you, and while it is okay to be a bitch, I'm certainly not going to teach you how. With all that said,
DJ, spin that shit.
We'll start with Cloudwalker's 4 special moves, each of which will come in handy for different reasons. First, we have Crossbow Blast, back forward 1. Which is a high projectile that has about 19 frames of startup. It's fast enough to catch people dashing in on occasion, but gets really interesting when you meter burn. You can certainly do the standard amplifier and shoot 2 bolts to trick a ducking opponent, but Fujin can do you one better. Holding down or up right after you input this special will cause the bolt to bounce across the screen, which can easily catch people in the air or crouching if you aim it correctly. You can do this twice in a row with Amplify if you want to spend 2 bars, or you can meter burn into it after a normal bolt, both of which will combo if the first bolt hits. Next we have Warped Needle, down back 4. Your main combo ender and oh shit they blocked me tool. This special move is incredibly useful to keep pressure on your opponent and make a few different attacks and strings much safer. On top of that, it has great chip damage, so even if you get blocked, you get a little something out of it. By itself, this attack leaves you at a 16 frame disadvantage, which is not crazy punishable considering the distance between you and your opponent, but there are lots of attacks that can get through, so in general be sure to amplify on block, which basically resets to neutral with either 0 or +1 frame advantage. Keep in mind that the amplify attack can be flawless blocked and punished with up to if your opponent is expecting it, so it can benefit you to mix it up and risk the low frame advantage to keep them guessing. You might be thinking to yourself,
but Shmolty, all they have to do is react to whatever you do and punish accordingly.
And to that I say, well, yeah, but good luck with that online, bucko. Now on to Tornado, down back 2, which is basically just a combo tool. Fujin envelops himself in a tornado of wind and you can move him back or forward depending on what you want to do with it. What you want to do is combo, so you're going to move forward but slightly delay it so you land faster. I'll get into it later. The only other use I can think of for this move is as an anti-air, but if you're that ready for a jump, you might as well just jump 1 because it's more damage and way easier to convert. Enough said. Finally, we have Skywalker, down up, which is spelled W-A-K-K-A for some reason. All I can think of is have fun playing that on repeat on the good old brain radio. Anyway, once in the air you have multiple options. You can press 3 to dive kick at your opponent, and then amplify this for 2 rising knees. If you've stepped twice in the air before the dive kick, then the amplified attack will be a crushing blow that you can continue into a damaging combo. Just be sure not to abuse this much because both the kick and the amplify are easily punished on block, although most opponents will try to punish the kick and then get dicked by the amp, from what I've seen. So, send it at least once. You can press 1 in the air to stab through the sky with your sword if you're expecting your opponent to jump, and you can also amplify this for more hits. Or you can press grab as well to attempt a parry if you think they'll hit first. This never happens. Just dive kick or press down twice and cancel Skywalker into a grab if you waka get fancy. I mean, wanna. God damn it. When amplified, Fujin will spin up a damaging cyclone and fly across the screen like King Ghidorah on his way to get dumpstered by Godzilla. This is pretty damn useless in neutral for the most part, but it's crucial when it comes to combos, which I'll showcase at the end of the video. For now, let's move on to pokes and notable normals. Down 1 is a standard 7 frame poke. Nothing notable there. Down 2, however, is a not so standard uppercut with a good bit of range in front of Fujin's face, but almost no hitbox above him. So it's perfect at keeping jumping opponents right at the range you want them, but kinda struggles when it comes to stuffing cross-up. Down 3 is a 10 frame low poke with pretty solid range, but I almost never use this because down 4 is all you really need. Down 4 is also a low, but has 18 frames of hit advantage, and your opponent stumbles right into the golden zone for Fujin's attacks. From here, you can use your 18 frame back 2 and pull them in for a warp needle special cancel. You can micro dash up into a back 1 string, which is my favorite combo starter, and does about 5 to 7% chip damage depending on if you amplify warped needle, or you can use your forward 3 slide to try and snipe a low. All 3 of these moves are guaranteed to at least hit your opponent if timed correctly. You can also wave dash up to your opponent for a grab if you're feeling extra spicy and can actually wave dash. A single dash will be too far to grab, and dashing twice normally is super obvious and will result in a fractured jawline and a dental bill that not even Johnny can pay for. Fujin's sweep is probably my favorite in the game right now. Instead of ducking and spinning in a circle like most, he just steps up and uses his apex calf muscles to completely knock his opponent flat on their back or face. The aforementioned attacks, back 2 bending wind and forward 3 low drift, are both essentials to Fujin's mid-range game. Back 2 can be special cancelled, which is great for pulling them into warp needle or crossbow bolt depending on the range. This is a great way to check your opponent mid-screen or catch a spawn player that constantly backdashes. Low drift is much the same, but what makes this move especially useful is that it low profiles high and even mid projectiles. So, at the right distance, you can swoop under a bullet, kick your opponent in the ankle, and warped needle them in the face. Fujin is truly the Neo of MK11. In the air, Fujin is basically Baraka, only Fujin does a front flip because he's cool like that. Seriously, their jump in and air-to-air punches are identical, but the buttons are switched. For Fujin, jump 1 is your air-to-air, which you can use to pick up a combo, and jump 2 is your jump in, which you can use to pick up an uppercut to the face. Fujin's jump kick is actually different to Baraka, but has roughly the same range, as does pretty much every jump kick. Hop attacks are something that not a lot of people seem to realize are even in this game, but Fujin's hop kick feels knuck and futz with only 8 frames of startup, so it might be worth incorporating into your game plan, particularly if your opponent is pinned to the corner. The hop punch is a graceful sword swing that's slower, but has much better range, which could definitely come in handy. Probably. I mean, maybe. Next up, let's talk combo attacks, spelled with a K of course, because just like switching car insurance to save money,
it's what you do.
Starting off, we have Gusting Cyclone, 1-1 up 4, one of Fujin's many high starters. The final hit of this string can't be special cancelled, and the first 2 hits don't combo that well either. However, on counter-attack or punish, it leads to a crushing blow in which Fujin kicks his opponent so hard in the face that it not only caves in their skull, but also sends them through the stratosphere into full orbit and around the entire Earth, then back down right at his feet on the other side in about 20 milliseconds flat. Now I did the math on this, so you don't have to, although you probably don't care to, and the velocity is roughly 448,218,000 miles per hour. That's roughly 2/3 the speed of light, or 584,000 times the speed of sound. Now, I'm no physics nerd. In fact, I dropped out of the class because anything past algebra physically hurts my brain, but the sonic boom created when exiting the atmosphere alone at that speed would probably be enough to make deaf people all around the world say, "What the fuck was that?" Not to mention wipe out all life on Earth, but I digress. Fujin is Neo, we're in the Matrix. Just to be clear, this crushing blow cannot be comboed in any way. It's just the 3 hits and your opponent hitting the ground. But don't tell them that, because they'll totally waste a breakaway and it's hilarious every time. Aerokinesis, 1, 2, 4, 3, 4, Fujin's next high starter, is easily my favorite stagger string. Just performing 1, 2 leaves you at -5 frames, which isn't very good, but the dial-in part of the attack leaves a big enough gap to punish a button press, and does about 112 damage by itself. Wait a minute. Where have I seen kicks like this before? You see what I'm saying? The first 2 hits are also a good way to start a punish combo once you've used your crushing blow. Again, I'll showcase combos later. Next we have Howling Winds, Fujin's bread and butter mid-string. The final 3 hits of this combo are also dial-in, but can be special cancelled for a combo starter or Warped Needle on block. If you don't use Warped Needle on block, you'll still be mostly safe at -17 and distant, but attacks like Sub-Zero's slide will still punish you, so keep that in mind and use Warped Needle. Now on to Tornado Twist. 2-3, dial in 1-2. This combo strikes low on the second and last hits, but is crazy unsafe on block right next to your opponent. You can also use Calm Before the Storm, 2-3, 2+4, which is an alternate combo that leaves you at -4 and far enough that you might get away with a backdash if your opponent tries something fast. I don't use these strings that often because Howling Winds is such a strong mid, but it could definitely be a good footsies tool if used right. I've mentioned back 2 a couple times now, but this attack can also combo using 1+3. Don't do this though. Just don't. It's way more rewarding to special cancel into Warped Needle because it's safe on block and doesn't whiff half the time. You can still whiff at max distance if it's blocked, but this is pretty uncommon. Still, keep it in mind. You also have Forward to 1+3, which does the same thing but moving forward instead of staying back. This move will hit more consistently, but can't be special cancelled. I don't really find it useful at all for how I play, but hey, if you want a fancy side switch without having to grab, it's there. Just be ready to be -7 on block right next to your enemy. Remember the slide move I mentioned earlier? Of course you do. It was literally minutes ago. I only ask because I'm out of segues. Anyway, you can follow Forward 3 with 1 to continue the slide into a punch. If you miss the slide but the punch connects, it's a crushing blow. Landing this is tricky because the punch is so slow. I've tried delaying it and most of the time I just get punched out of it without a second thought. You can try pushing the max distance and seeing if your opponent refuses to block, like, I know this isn't gonna hit me because... But in general, good luck landing this one. Next up is Blown Away, Fujin's final high starter, 4-2-3, which oddly enough is a projectile on the last hit. There is literally no universe where this matters. Nobody is going to sit there and let you do a 3-hit combo just to hit them with a gust of wind 2 yards in front of you and knock them on their ass. What is great about this string is that when you land it on block, it actually leaves you at +6 frames right in Fujin's golden zone. This string is also an important part of your combos as it restands your opponent and the first 2 hits can be special cancelled to start a combo. Our last combo attack is Crushing Zephyr, Forward 4-3, and it's your one and only overhead, as well as your final unique crushing blow. The requirement for the crushing blow is to land this overhead twice in a row. Not twice in a game, but twice in a row. So you can probably land this on your little brother who's literally never played the game 1 time. Jokes aside, you will land this crushing blow more than you think. One thing that will help is that because Fujin does jump in the air, he can actually avoid some characters up 3 attacks like Shao Kahn and Raiden. He'll also catch players that try to jump out of it, but naturally, most players will just block high. It's also worth noting that the Forward 4 part of this string alone will leave you at only -3 on block, so it's a pretty good stagger, especially when your opponent is afraid of the crushing blow overhead. All in all, Fujin excels in the mid-range, and up close if you understand his moveset and grab pretty often. Keep in that golden zone, close enough that you can get in with your slide if you so choose, or use your wind normals to whiff punish or apply pressure. You want to harass your opponent and make them mess up. Use Howling Winds often. It's your most damaging starter and can be made safe. It's not the fastest attack, but it has solid range, easy hit confirm, and plenty of chip damage. Also, if you're not sliding across the screen constantly to check your opponent's block, you're not playing Fujin. Once you're up close, try to poke with down 4 and get them back to your optimal range, or stagger your normals and occasionally grab. Pinning your opponent to the corner might seem like a bad idea with Fujin because he's so focused on footsies, but he's still a threat with your back against the wall. Be sure to throw in that short hop kick, use your Warped Needle on block to chip away your opponent's health, and keep the advantage with the amp. Fujin has very little mix-up, but fantastic footsies. Do your best to set the pace of the match and get your opponent to make mistakes. Do that, practice the hell out of his combos, and you'll go far. That's it for the commentary portion of the video. Stay tuned for Fujin's combos. If you enjoyed or found this video helpful, be sure to leave a like and show your fighting game buddies. Also, feel free to follow my Twitch if you want to see me struggle and rage in Combat League, as well as play a variety of different games like Halo, Dark Souls, or whatever the hell I feel like playing. See you guys next time.